This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Women of Interest is your backstage pass to the stories behind the success.
Get ready to be inspired and empowered as we highlight the resilience, determination, and passion of women who embody the heart and the spirit of Texas.
Welcome back to round two.
Round two.
We have so much interest.
Yes.
After this first
Did
round.
we?
We did.
Okay.
It was so much fun.
Okay, it was so much fun.
I had people emailing.
All right.
People texting.
Okay.
People commenting.
That's great.
I had a coffee with Jamie Goebel.
Yes. I met her last night.
Really?
At a Waco Foundation Forever Fund meeting. Yeah.
She is working at a community bank as well.
Yeah.
And she gave me a list of people that would be interesting to talk to. And I met with Katie Snap, who was with Waco Moms, who now Sarah Martin is with.
Good.
And so we just had a plethora of people.
It's great.
It's so much fun.
I mean, it's going to be hard to choose like where we start. There are so many incredible women in our community that are so interesting, and I just want to know more. I am a curious person, as are you. You're always wanting to find out how things work, and so I'm excited on this interview. Last interview, you got to ask me a few things, and we talked a lot about kind of my background and how I started in nonprofit work and music, and got into that. But this time I get to interview you, which is really exciting.
Thank you.
So, I mean, we talked a little bit, but I am curious about, I think a lot of people, as I said last time, know women for their work, know women for their children. If you have children, you become known as so-and-so's mom, and there's like a definer there.
I even have it in my phone. I realize it's so embarrassing, so-and-so's mom. And but that's kind of when you're in that realm.
Yes.
Until you really get to know them, you just write it down really quick.
Yes.
And you're right. I interrupted you, but yes.
Well, you have to do that because, like, if your kid is in dance or in sports, then it's like you meet the kid first. And then the mom, is a peripheral and, figure. And you're like, okay, well, it's Callie's mom or, all the teammates. I've got Marcus's mom in my phone, from these teams that we do. So all that to say, we know women for a lot of really what they are putting out into the world. But that act of creating and that act of doing comes from a place of being. And I think that's what makes it so interesting to know what is the being behind the doing, as human beings. Right. So I want to know more about you, and I want you to tell us, just jump in and start with what was growing up like for you.
Oh, you're starting there.
We're going there.
Oh, my gosh.
I want a context for where you come from. You may have touched on it a little bit last time, but just
did. But I mean, really, again, it was entrepreneurial spirit. Very. That was kind of what my dad kind of instilled, or not kind of. He did instill in us as kids, and my parents always, until this day, you can do whatever you want. I believe in you.
Wow. And
they tell me, and they keep telling my kids, you can do whatever you want. And they always have that positive back spirit. Always have said that. And so with that, I feel it.
Yeah.
And so that kind of where it goes.
And what
from.
You're a Texan. You grew up in Texas?
I was born in Texas.
Okay.
Then my dad had an oil and gas business, and we went to Kansas. His dad was an oil and gas, and he was in that. Then we moved to Oklahoma for a year and a half.
Okay.
And he was in oil and gas and in silver mining. And then also, after that, moved to Austin.
Okay.
So I actually went to high school in Austin.
Okay.
And then from Austin went to Baylor.
What did moving around a lot
That
teach you?
is an incredible question.
Yeah.
Because that is probably the best thing that they did for me.
Okay.
It was the hardest thing, the worst thing, and the best thing.
How?
Because that is what prepared me for everything. Resilience, being able to meet people, being able to come into new environments, start conversations.
Yeah.
It was very hard.
Yeah.
Coming into a new high school when you're a sophomore at 16.
Can't imagine.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
And but it was able to come to Baylor and do the same thing. And I was an educator for a couple of years. I got my degree in education and loved it. Stayed at home with our kids.
Okay.
But I always loved to be active, busy. So when my ex-husband bought the building that we're now in and a magazine,
I mean,
that he had nothing. He was not in publishing. He was did not know how to run a magazine, but taught himself.
Wow.
I just jumped in with him.
So that ability to jump in and take those risks, you would attribute to not only having this DNA of like the entrepreneurial, parent who's moving around a lot and getting into things, but also having to be flexible.
Correct.
And like
and
learn
I
on
think
the fly.
With my mom. I think that is where I would get my mom's side, because she was flexible. She was able to adapt to anywhere. They're actually moving here.
Okay.
So again, once again, they are
here we go.
taking on that, being able to adapt to a new situation.
Wow.
And coming and helping. They have that helper spirit as well. My mom does.
Serving people.
And my dad wants to jump in and help and have, I guess what I'm trying to say is that I adapt.
Yeah, you do adapt. Yeah.
So, but I've been in this business for over 20 years, and along with my ex-husband have found a passion and love for it.
Yeah.
So it has been inspiring. I cannot do anything without the great team.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's what I really want to talk about. It's not about me.
Right.
It is about the team that I work with.
Yeah.
And we have people that have worked with us for a very long time.
Yeah.
And that's what I really, really admire and love.
And don't you feel like women, there is this sense of being able to pull together, to network, to help one another out? There's a very natural, it feels like, team orientation, because we've always had to figure things out together.
We have. And so at the magazine, we really try, when things aren't working well, we really have to, because we're such a small team, we have to.
How many?
There are only, really, there's only 9 of us.
See, I don't think people really know that.
That aspect of it.
Right.
We have freelancers, writers, photographers, but there's only 9 that put it all together each month.
It's amazing.
And we're a really tight team. So if something doesn't flow well that month, it shows.
Yeah.
But they have done an incredible job of picking up, just learning their job well, and getting out and knowing what they need to do.
So do you imagine, I think about this a lot. I think about, if I wasn't doing this, what would I do? So I want to mention, and there's a really interesting, I listened to a podcast, I'm probably going to get it wrong, but there was a MIT professor who created a course with one of the founders of the Apple iPhone, not Steve Jobs, but it was called Design Your Life. And it was a course that you could take at MIT and maybe even outside of MIT. I don't know. We could go look it up and see. But the podcast he was talking about, in this course, they decided to give humans the tools that were made to build the phone. One was from a faith background, the professor at MIT. The inventor or the creator of the Apple phone was an atheist. But they both said there's something very spiritual about the way that we design lives. And if we took the map for how we designed the iPhone, we could build that for humans from a sociological standpoint and say, if you have this, 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 you can design the kind of life you want. Here's what I want to say. At the very beginning of the class, all the students that signed up to take it, he said, I'm going to time you for 2 minutes, and I want you to write down as many wonderful things that you could think of that would pique your interest to do in your life, like jobs that you think, if I could do anything, I've always thought I would want to do this. If you had all the time in the world, okay? So they give him 2 minutes, and they're like, no, we're still writing. And so he's like, okay, 1 more minute. So they're like, oh, no, we're still thinking of things. Ooh, I just had another idea that I want to do in my life. Yeah. And he stopped him after 3 or 4 minutes, and he said, here's the point. You're never going to be able to do all the things that you think you want to do. Because it's humans have this eternity, infinity that we're made from. And so a human life is finite. And so it's a really interesting acceptance that we have to kind of come to. And I think in midlife, we kind of get to that point where we go, okay, I'm accepting, or I'm not accepting, and I'm going to turn the page of what I want for my life. But if you think about what you've been able to create so far with what you know about yourself and you know about people and you know about the world, are there other things that you think, I would really love to do this, or I used to think I want to do this?
Yes, and no, because I've been helping and create this magazine, and I had the opportunity to just sit back for a year and reevaluate my life, and not very many people get to do that. And it was not something that I took lightly. It was something that was taken away. And I had to look. I had to get out my resume.
Yeah.
And I had to decide what I was going to do.
Wow.
And I was sitting there, and I took walks every day.
Yeah.
I listened to podcasts every day. Brene Brown was my favorite podcast.
Good. Which
at
one?
that.
The Unlocking Us?
It was it was
Dare to Lead.
Dare to Lead.
Okay, yeah.
It was Dare to Lead that I sat there, or not sat there, I was walking on the Cotton Belt Trail. Yeah. And if you haven't gone on the Cotton Belt Trail, it's beautiful.
Oh,
it's something that Waco has done over in Woodway side.
Yes. Off Spiegelville.
Yes. And it is wonderful for Waco. And I was walking that, and I was like, okay, if I can go back, and if I had the opportunity to be back at the WACOAN, because a lot of people didn't know that I wasn't at the WACOAN for a year. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
And so it was still being run.
Yeah.
Which was amazing.
Yeah.
That there was a team of people that
could keep it going
until it couldn't, but it was running. And so if I could go back and do it, what would I do differently with my team if I was in charge? And then I started to look back and decide, okay, I might not get that back. Oh, my God. Where am I going to land?
Yes.
And so every interview that I was on, all I could talk about was the magazine. Because that was my background, of course.
Yeah.
But the love that I had for creating and the energy and coming up with ideas wasn't necessarily just because it was my background. It was my passion and my love.
Wow.
And so I kept asking, I kept asking God, where are you going to put me?
Yeah.
I'm not getting this job. I'm
Right.
not getting this job.
Yeah.
I'm not getting this job.
Right.
Where are you going to put me?
Right. Wow.
Sorry.
Gosh. No, it's just...
And so I guess I got to come back. Sorry, Emily.
Beautiful.
But it was the WACOAN because I love it so much. But it is...
It's more than a magazine.
It is, because I get to work with the team every day.
Yeah.
Even though some days they don't understand why I'm not there every day.
Yeah.
But it's because I was writing this down before we came, but it's numbers. So
Okay.
it's not numbers of just, hey, what are we making for sales?
Yeah.
It's analytics. It is numbers for business numbers.
Wow.
So it's
Businesses that are featured.
businesses as in just our business.
Yes.
What is our business making?
Right. Right.
How many ads per, what are the ads per the editorial?
Yes.
So I love this magazine so much that I look at every single aspect of it to make it better each and every month. I was telling our creative director yesterday, I love what's coming up this next month. It's going to be so good.
I love it.
It's People of Waco, and there are 20 amazing people, and Brianne Johnson is just killing it.
Awesome.
She is our photographer, and she's
so great.
amazing.
Yeah.
She's taking Arliss around. She has this new baby.
Yes. Yes.
Arliss is in her baby pouch, and he's been on every appointment.
Oh my gosh.
The photography, Emily,
I can't wait to see it. Like an artistic.
it is beautiful.
Yeah.
We have.
I know. Yeah. Mascara break.
I know. I know.
We need it. We need tissues.
Sorry. Oh my God. I'm trying.
I'm not
I'm dying.
I'm going to go get. Here. We should have kept these. We should have kept our little
Oh God.
tissues right here.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Now I was like, woman to woman.
Oh.
We gotta take a. That's better.
Oops. Okay.
So,
Okay.
so next.
So in this next month,
Yes.
Brianne Johnson, or our team, just in this 1 month, we have People of Waco, our feature. It is outstanding, but not only in these 20 people that we're featuring. We have this amazing story of Around Waco. It's on sex trafficking, and it's a task force, and it has the chief of police, Sue Battle, an attorney, and someone else.
Christy Hayes,
Yes.
Unbound.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we have an amazing photo of them on top of a building. But also, the writer, Susan, we've picked up this, Susan,
Okay.
our writer, is hitting some very, very tough topics. She came
Wow.
into me this last week and said, Michelle, this is going to scare the shit out of people.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, they need to really, really
I'm
read
glad.
this.
Yeah.
This isn't just fluff. This
Yeah.
is scary.
Yeah.
So not only do we have that, we are talking to the Chris Collins about the economic development of Waco with Greater Waco Chamber.
Great.
So I love to just, well, everything's in this magazine. This is
Yeah.
just 1 month.
Yeah. It sounds exciting that you are, it it feels like, now I don't know if this was intentional or not, but that the magazine feels more inclusive.
Thank you.
It feels just in the past year, you know, it's having more representation.
Well, that's Waco.
Well, I know, but you don't always see that.
I mean, we are trying to represent all of Waco.
Yeah.
And we want that.
Yeah.
I mean, why not? Not why not? That's what Waco is.
It is. And it's what makes Waco, Waco.
Exactly.
And so there really is, and should be, and hopefully, I know that Waco's had its challenges, but I think that one of the things I appreciate is that I have found that there seems to be even under pressure, even under hard topics, if you're willing to sit across the table and have conversations, people really are open to hearing you.
Most definitely. If you are genuine and if you really want to talk about it,
yeah,
and if you're open to talking about it,
yeah,
and if I'm a magazine, some people do say, no, you only include this. If you go back and like you said, over the last year and the 2 years, no, we're putting more out there. And if you want us to feature something, please contact me.
Yeah.
I am more than willing to have that conversation.
Right.
We have blogs out there too that we would more than happy to put that out there if it doesn't make it in the magazine. We want to include things and have conversations because conversations bring out more discussions.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think, so really the magazine is your calling.
Yes.
You would
I
say
truly
that.
do believe that.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
I love people. I love to talk about hard things, interesting things, what people are doing, what women are doing. I'm curious and creative. I have always said I don't know what looks right or what looks wrong, but I can tell you. I can't always put it all together.
Yes.
But I can tell you what I like and what I don't like, so we can put it together.
So do you feel like your main role, I mean, you kind of probably have multiple roles, right, within the magazine?
Well,
what's your main?
So I've done pretty much everything at the magazine, so then when at the end of the day I can, I guess, I can say it better, but I've done everything except for actually pushing the button and graphic design. I do not know how to do that.
Yeah. Right. Same.
I'm like, I cannot, no.
You're like, I can tell you what looks good.
Yes.
I can arrange some things.
Yes.
I can be a creative director.
Exactly.
But
I cannot do that.
Technical skill.
Actually, I cannot do the money part.
Yeah.
I mean, I can.
Yeah. Right.
I cannot input the money part.
Spreadsheets.
But I can look it over.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have my hand in everything.
Yes.
So then I can run it.
Yeah. Yeah. But you would consider yourself a creative CEO.
Correct.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I am.
Yeah. And I mean, creativity could be in any form, but you have an eye for aesthetic and, beauty and
what drives
language.
Everybody crazy with me is I'm a perfectionist in a weird way.
Yeah.
And I want everything to be intentional. So with this magazine that's coming out, I wanted it to make sure it was very well-rounded. And so if it's not just perfect, not perfect, because nothing is perfect.
Sure.
But it needs to feel right. And if it doesn't feel right, I'm not going to say yes.
Yeah.
And I get in my own way a lot.
Sure. I can see that. I can see that in myself. There's a great book called The Artist Way by Julia Cameron, and it was written in the 90s, and I didn't hear about it until 2020 when a friend gave it to me because we were all on lockdown, and, you know, it was interesting to see what artists were writing and what music was being created during the pandemic. And so another writer friend at the time, she gave me this book and dropped it off. She said, I just thought of you. And so I started going through it, and it's really this spiritual discipline of creativity.
Okay.
And so it's kind of an OG's guide. Like, I bet every work, every movie that you've ever seen, every fashion designer, every author that you probably love, if you talk about the artist way, they're going to be like, oh yeah, did it, done it. I keep going back to this practice. Okay. So one of the things that she ends up talking about is when you mentioned like this getting in your own way and this perfection that drives and can limit also your creativity. So the Artist Way prayer goes something like, God, I'll take care of the content or the quantity. I'll take care of the quantity. You take care of the quality. And for me, I've always had that backwards. I've been like, I want to get the quality right before I generate the output. And she said part of the artist way is learning, just create. Just keep putting it out.
Wow, I love that.
And then let God take care of like who it resonates with and how it resonates. And it really did help me see where my perfectionism and even probably my fear of like, because perfectionism is rooted in
I know,
so
and I keep
fear.
hearing that. And
it's hard.
It not even fear of just not the fear of it, but not wanting to just move on.
I know.
Procrastination or just, okay, what is it going to be the end product? It just has to be right.
Yeah.
And I don't know a different word than fear. I guess maybe that's it. But
it's hard. Brett's always like, you know, we only put out albums because I finally said this is where we stop. And we're putting it out.
We're doing
because
it.
If it was up to you, you'd keep going back and listening to your own voice and listening to the piano part and listening. And there's always going to be something that...
And I have to have a deadline.
Yeah, got to have a deadline. Like, this is
hands
off.
I have one.
Yeah.
So Emily, our editor, she says, okay, I have to have it.
Yeah.
And we have one, so I have to have one.
You have to have it. Yeah. As you think about where you want to take the magazine in the future, do you have, I mean, obviously this podcast was kind of one of those dream babies that was like, oh, let's do something that's off the page.
Right. We have been thinking about more our digital side, and there's just so many options that we could do.
Yeah.
I think our magazine is doing wonderful and great things. It moves very well.
Good.
People are picking it up.
Yeah.
The numbers show that. We go through our racks.
Okay.
And it's been great. People are still buying ads, which is fantastic.
Awesome.
The community supports it.
Yeah.
We always, one thing is our covers, you have to be like always aware what's on the cover so people will pick it up.
Yeah.
And we've been really mindful and about that. So our podcast, this has been something I've really wanted to do, and I'm so thankful and excited to be doing this. So this is something new. And our website and beyond.
Yeah. So you have a blog.
Our blog is doing so great.
Okay. So where I didn't even really know that. So tell me about the blog.
So we have interns from Baylor, and they have been a great asset to our team. We've had Avery Ballman, who has been an intern with us. This is going on her second year. She's kind of our star intern right now. And I was talking about her in the office, and she was giving, she trains our new interns. And she was like, you don't want to go back in that closet. And then I said, Avery, what what are you talking about? She goes, well, that's the scary closet back there. I go, what are you talking about? Why are you telling anybody about a scary closet? She goes, well, that has all of the past magazines back there with all this other stuff. And I go, well, maybe we need to organize the scary closet.
Yeah.
And anyways, the scary closet.
That's funny.
Is kind of funny that she was telling the new interns, you don't want to go back to the scary closet.
There's always a scary closet.
Oh my
always
gosh.
a place in the office that's just out of control.
Put things back there
it's
so
out of control.
Nobody sees. But anyway, our blogs, we give the interns a chance to write, of course. But over the summer, we had one particular intern, Avery Bathurst, who she's from Waco, which I love, and gave her more meaty things to talk about. She talked about the water issue that we are having, where we are restricted to days in Waco. It got so much feedback on our blog. And
good for Avery.
I know. I love it.
That's great.
Also, well, we put out on our blog what to do in Waco this weekend.
Okay.
It coincides with our social media.
Yeah.
The one thing that's a great hit right now is for Baylor parents.
Okay.
Tips for Baylor parents.
That's great.
Has been wonderful. And then what to do with littles.
Okay.
So, yeah.
The blog gets a lot of attention. Good. So you've got the hard copies, you've got the blog, and then now you've got podcasts.
Podcast.
That's a pretty good, and so your social media, which kind of holds all those things.
And our numbers are just continuing to rise, which is so great to watch and see. Our analytics are through the roof for us right now.
Good.
We have followers. Our LinkedIn is also something that I'm watching because it's business minded.
It is.
And it's a new way to connect with people. We've written stories with Baylor recently. Good. Baylor has reached out to us about the brick to write about.
Yeah.
It's the research, and
I love the brick. It's a beautiful space.
It is a beautiful space that a lot of Wacoans don't know that amazing research is going on in our town.
Yes.
That will blow your mind.
Yeah, and some of it I've heard with what's happening at the brick is, confidential. They can't talk about it.
Correct.
Because it's like patent pending or it's influencing, CIA, like government agencies, like it's incredible technology that they are developing and getting funding for.
Right. But then there's also, we wrote a story, or Baylor provided a story too, for us in our August issue, so you can check it out. That was written by Anna Mitchell, and it talks about all of the research that is going on that's public that you would be really fascinated to know. Yeah. That we're proud to have in the magazine.
Yeah. It's a beautiful building, but it's even just beautiful what they're able to do in collaboration with other agencies, because it's not just Baylor.
Right.
With
SpaceX.
Yes.
With
TSTC maybe.
Yes,
too,
TSTC as well, and City of Waco.
Yes.
That they're also collaborating with, and also just businesses around town that they are doing research with.
It's amazing. Yeah. So as you look forward in this next season of your life as a woman, apart from all the things that you have your hand in and going on, what is giving you the center? What's kind of your center of gravity that keeps you grounded so that you can keep creating and keep showing up to work? And that's just, you've got a lot happening. So
that is something that I'm working on.
Yeah, I love it. I love your transparency. See,
I'm not.
perfect.
I know I'm not doing a really great job of that right now. I have to say, I kind of ebb and flow.
Well, what are the things that you love? You mentioned the cotton belt. You mentioned
I do love walking that, but I haven't been walking as much lately. I just moved into a new house, so kind of getting that together and making sure that it's prepared for my kiddos. And I really put a lot of time and effort in my family and my kids.
Yeah.
So
I love that. Are there certain hobbies that one day you think, man, as I get older and when things kind of settle a little more, what are the things I'd love to pick up?
I know. I love to pick up pickleball.
Okay. I love that.
I know. It's so much fun.
We've got a lot of good courts around Waco.
Started to really get a lot of courts.
Yeah.
Waco Regional has one.
Yes.
A lot of churches in town have them.
Baylor has several.
Baylor has several pickleball?
Several pickleball courts.
What?
Yes. And then I think
I had no idea.
maybe the WACOAN needs to do a little article as the weather gets a little nicer on pickleball in Waco.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like maybe, I don't know. I played on a pickleball league and it was out at the Waco Regional.
You did?
I did. I learned pickleball. I mean, it was like a short-lived.
It is so
but
much
it was fun. And then our family, Lucy got into it, and then we started doing like family pickleball nights because it was something everybody
I know.
can
Anybody
do.
can pick it up. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It is active, and you can do it outside. And then when the winter months come, you can do it inside at like First Woodway and Crestview Church of Christ has it. So yeah.
Well, I think the scoring is the hardest part about it.
I know.
It's kind of like money and the organization is not my strong suit, or yours, it sounds like. So it's like the technicality of like keeping the score. I'm like, just let me get out there and hit. Show me where I need to hit
and rotating,
and you keep the score.
And yes, I kind of tend to let other people keep score.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I agree. Well, cheers to more walking and settling in and moving.
Thank you. Yes.
And hopefully picking up some pickleball
yes.
in your future.
Goals.
Goals. We got to have them. We got to have them.
Yeah.
Okay, so next time we do this, we've got kind of a working list of women.
We do. I'm hoping to have Stephanie, who we had interviewed for Women of Interest in our August issue.
Okay.
She is the Waco ISD president, school board president.
Awesome.
They have just announced that they have a candidate for the superintendent.
Yeah.
And I hope that she'll talk to us.
Yeah.
That will be a really good
I'd love
interview.
to know more. Yeah, I'd love to know more.
Yeah, that would be great. And so, yeah.
Cheers to that.
Until next time.
Until next time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, glad to do it. And be sure to pick up a copy of your WACOAN or go to wacoan.com.
Together, let's celebrate the strength, the grace, and the undeniable impact of the women who make our community great.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.